Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Daily Fix. I am your usual host and presenter, Advocate Tulo Hoyani. We are still looking at the evidence in the MEYIWA trial, especially in relation to that 174 application that the defense intends to bring on the 7th of August. Another crucial aspect of the evidence in the MEYIWA trial, which must be looked into, is the failure of the prosecution to call Kelly Khumalo as a witness. You will recall that at the commencement of this trial, Advocate George Baloyi, the lead prosecutor, read into the record of the Pretoria High Court a summary of substantial facts. And in that summary of substantial facts, Advocate Baloyi outlined the charges that the accused persons face before the court and gave a brief overview in line with that summary of substantial facts of the sort of evidence that the prosecution was intending to lead. In that summary of substantial facts, Kelly Khumalo is identified as a victim of a robbery that also eventually took away the life of Senzo MEYIWA. So Kelly Khumalo is a crucial player in this whole issue. In this whole scheme of things, Kelly Khumalo is central to everything that is going on in the MEYIWA trial. So the natural expectation was that the prosecution would then call Kelly Khumalo as a witness, as indicated in their summary of substantial facts, to testify to the robbery charge. You'll also recall that she was also present in the house, and that is why the cell phone was allegedly robbed from her. She was also incidentally Senzo MEYIWA's boyfriend. But let us focus on the robbery charge. The prosecution has rounded up its case. It has led no evidence whatsoever in respect of that robbery charge by its failure to call Kelly Khumalo to the witness stand. This raises a red flag. Why would the prosecution read a summary of substantial facts into the record and, having done so, then fail in the manner that they failed, and dismally so, to call that one witness who was supposed to testify to the robbery charge, to establish that robbery charge? Raises a red flag. So on that score alone, excuse me, on that score alone, the robbery charge must therefore fall away, because no evidence has been read in respect of it. In other words, if you take that argument further, the accused persons are at this stage of the trial entitled to an acquittal on the robbery charge. They cannot be expected to come forward to rebut evidence that was never laid. So the robbery charge automatically falls away. That is as far as it seems to be going. Now, along the way, you see the prosecution rather fails to call Kelly Kuma. But along the way, Brigadier Gininda, then out of the blue, but subsequent to some very intense cross-examination, now takes a different view of the whole issue, of the whole Kelly issue. He mentions under cross-examination by Advocate Nisi that Kelly Kumalo was in fact the mastermind of this whole of this robbery and murder. She orchestrated it, ended up paying the foot soldiers, and allegedly the foot soldiers are the 5 people standing in trial in the Pretoria High Court. This also must raise a red flag. How does, in the space of one trial, how does a victim mutate or change right in front of the eyes of the court? How does the victim mutate from being a victim into being an actual perpetrator? How does that happen? And she becomes the chief perpetrator, but does not get apprehended. You see, this is a double failure on the part of the prosecution. First, they failed to call her as a witness to testify to the robbery charge. And then, to the surprise of everybody, she then surfaces as the chief perpetrator, the mastermind behind the whole thing. Mind-boggling, to say the least. But even then, as a mastermind, she does not get arrested. Raises a red flag. Raises a lot of, issues around whether the evidence that the prosecution has tendered before that court, up to now, warrants that the accused persons should take the witness box in their defense. And it is my view and submission that these things should send a message to the court that the guilt of the accused persons is certainly in doubt, and that no court, having duly warned itself, would, under the circumstances, come up with a conviction. And that this is yet another piece of evidence that indicates that the accused persons are entitled to be found not guilty at this stage of the trial. Having said that, let me thank you for watching this video, and let me thank you for sharing and subscribing to this channel, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.